In one corner, we have one of the most vile, dirty, disgusting, blonde bastards I've ever seen in my life! And in the other corner, we have the drug dealer, the gang lord, the polka-dotted, Part 5 pushover. Well, I guess he isn't much of a pushover, but... Especially if you want to take into consideration that Diavolo's opponent is one of the biggest, if not the most ruthless asshole in anime.
God, I love being a weeb.
Anyway, now that I got your attention due to my stupid jokes, let's get down to business. If you some way, somehow just have not seen Jojo yet, then you're gonna learn a lot from this video. Fuck it. I mean, even if you've already seen Jojo, I'm pretty sure you're gonna still learn a lot either way because a lot of these motherfuckers don't know what they're talking about. Myself included? Okay, don't kill me. Dio Brando, otherwise known as capital D-I-O, because, you know, some people even consider Dio Brando and D-I-O to be their own separate characters. So obviously, it would be smart to go with the strongest one out of the two. So we're gonna be breaking down D-I-O today. It just so happens that Dio seems to be very fond of knives, which ironically enough coincides with his sick nature, and oddly enough, his broken ability as well, which happens to be the ability to stop time for 10 seconds.
Or if we lowball it, technically it would be 9 seconds.
On the contrary, little details like that just really don't matter. Especially since Dio is a vampire that has the power to regenerate and suck the blood out of any living being with the tip, that's what she said, of his fingers. And in doing so, this allows him to heal and regenerate from any fatal injuries that he has received in a fight. And with the stand itself, the world boasting an incredible range, which is completely different and abnormal in comparison to most close range stands, the world covers a range of approximately 10 meters. And given its immense power and speed, this is something that can easily overpower and destroy any opponent that Dio faces. And even then, the world was able to single-handedly take on Star Platinum and overpower it in terms of speed and power, and it is stated by Dio that the world's speed and power are far superior to Star Platinum's. And this isn't Dio's ego talking. As a result of purposely exchanging punches with Star Platinum, Dio was able to come to this conclusion. But what makes the fight between Dio and Star Platinum so significant? Well, you see, it is stated that Star Platinum is faster than light. And I think you can understand where I'm going with this. Especially when you take into consideration that Star Platinum and the world are the same type of stand. And with Dio's The World being stated to be faster and stronger than Star Platinum, this would essentially mean that Dio's stand is actually relative to a speed that is faster than light. I know this may be a shocker to some people, but think of it like this. The range of this stand is only 10 meters, and the world is a close range stand. So it only makes sense for the world to be so strong if you're within its range. Because if you're standing within 10 meters of the world, you're going to be getting hit by a light speed punch that is obviously going to kill you in nearly one hit. And these same punches just so happen to arguably be faster than the speed of light. So if you're in the radius of the world, you're pretty much dead. And even then, if you're not in the range of the world, you're still practically a dead man because Dio can throw his knives at you and use them for a ranged attack. And then there's the cherry on top of the poisonous icing on this toxic cake. Dio can stop time for 10 seconds. And when he does this, you are defenseless and you cannot do a single thing. You're practically Dio's bitch. I'm just going to be real and blunt here. There's nothing you can do in stop time, and you're at the mercy of whatever cruel thing Dio feels like doing to you at that given time. All Dio really needs to do in any fight against damn near any character is just stop time and then just punch the fuck out of their head and they're dead. Unless you can move through stop time, which I'm sure not a lot of people can do anyway, because that is practically impossible.
Unless you're Goku, because Goku is faster and stronger than time and space itself.
But yes, Dio can just stop you right in your tracks and dictate whether or not he wants you to just die or whatever else in a matter of 10 seconds. On the other hand, Diavolo has sprinkles on his ice cream. Let's just say Diavolo's ability is special. Remember in the beginning of the video when I said Diavolo was a pushover? Maybe I was lying. Likewise, the speed and power of King Crimson is comparable to Star Platinum and the world. And Diavolo's King Crimson possesses the ability to erase time. There is also a catch because King Crimson can only erase up to 10 seconds. But really, 10 seconds is all Diavolo needs to do major damage to anyone with this ability, which is also combined with the ability to see 10 seconds into the future, which is pretty disgusting in itself. With just one of these abilities, you're unstoppable, yet Diavolo just so happens to have both of these abilities, which makes him really fucking broken. But first and foremost, I need a lot of individuals to understand just how powerful erasing time is. And to clean some confusion up, Diavolo's ability does not skip time. For some reason, I see multiple people always saying that Diavolo does not erase time, that he only skips time. And this is very untrue and is false. And I'm really just tired of ignorant and confused people saying this. The fine print of the manga says that Diavolo erases time, and Diavolo himself states multiple times that he erases time. Right here, even with my ability to erase time. And then there's another example. Time shall be erased from everyone but myself. It doesn't say time will be skipped, which is why I don't understand why people think that's his ability. But anyway, it's going to be time to address the two in order to avoid any more confusion. A time skip is something that would cause any event to happen sooner rather than later. Now with this example, Diavolo is getting shot, but he erased 0.5 seconds of time, therefore he wasn't shot because he erased the time in which he was being shot. If this situation would have been a time skip, then Diavolo would have also been killed in this situation by the bullets. If Diavolo was using a time skip in this situation, they would have both been killed 0.5 seconds sooner rather than later. Because the bullets are going through Diavolo, this only proves the point that he is using the ability to erase time, as if it wasn't already obvious, because he's saying he's erasing time. But yes, Diavolo erased the time in which he was shot, so the bullets passed through him and they ended up hitting Rosado. The 0.5 that Diavolo erases is what makes this so important, because if he would have erased any more time, then the bullets would have phased right through Rosado as well, because he would have inevitably erased the time in which the both of them were being shot. Now let's dig for a better understanding of King Crimson. Simply put, this stand can skip through time. More precisely, it erases a dozen odd seconds of time, during which only it can act. During this period, it also sees the actions of others as a forecast-esque image. When time is erased, no humans or life in the world will experience this period of time. And of course, they will retain no memories of it either. Birds in flight in the hands of clocks will appear to teleport, and no one will be able to remember how far into a book they have read. Its weaknesses are its poor effective range and permanence. Thus, it is impossible for the host to hide his identity against multiple foes. Now let's elaborate on this with an example. We have a scene where Buchari is in the elevator with Trish. A lot of people seem to think this is a time skip, but right here, Diavolo erases time. And to further elaborate on this, Buchari is with Trish. Then, in a moment's notice, he's no longer with Trish. Most individuals think that time skipped to the point in which Trish's arm was cut off, especially since Buchari just so happens to have Trish's arm teleported into his hands. How did this happen? Well, when time is erased, no humans or life in the world will experience this period of time. You see, Buchari wasn't able to experience the time when Diavolo went in the elevator and cut off Trish's arm, because the time in which Buchari would experience this would be erased. And of course, you would be thinking, if the time was erased, then Buchari wouldn't have her arm. But that is not the case, because King Crimson erases a dozen odd seconds of time during which only it can act. Buchari has Trish's arm because Diavolo cut Trish's arm off. Well, no shit, he cut her arm off. However, King Crimson erases a dozen odd seconds of time during which only it can act. Diavolo can determine what is and isn't erased. Because Diavolo is the person to cut off Trish's arm, her arm was able to actually be cut off once the erased time was over, because Diavolo had allowed this to happen. And then, after erasing time, it would skip to the predetermined outcome that Diavolo wants. Another example, time shall be erased from everyone but myself. When Diavolo puts his blood into Giorno's face, people try to apply the logic of erased time on this situation. So they think, because it's erased time, then the time in which Diavolo put blood on Giorno's face wouldn't exist. But a lot of people just don't pay attention. King Crimson erases a dozen odd seconds of time during which only it can act. So whatever Diavolo does, happens. And if Diavolo doesn't want anything to happen, then it will not happen. The reason why Diavolo's blood stayed on Giorno's face is because this is an action that Diavolo and King Crimson have done, and therefore it's absolute. He erased time for everyone except for himself. Whatever his opponent does will never exist, but whatever he does will exist, or whatever he wants, to be more exact. But this isn't all. Diavolo can look 10 seconds into the future, and in doing so, this already nearly makes him unstoppable. But by knowing what's gonna happen 10 seconds into the future, he will also know exactly what he wants to delete in order for him to win and absolutely dominate in a fight. So you could never ever catch Diavolo off guard if he can see into the future. And not only that, he's going to delete whatever happens in the span of 10 seconds. When Diavolo says all the actions you take in a world where time is erased are meaningless, he is not bragging or boasting. He is being very straightforward and just brutally honest. Now let's say you shoot me in the head, and this happens in the span of 10 seconds. Then I say, no, that did not happen. And so, it will be as if you never shot me in the head in the first place, because by erasing time, whatever you do to Diavolo or King Crimson is meaningless, which makes King Crimson invincible. And even then, by looking into the future, King Crimson can prepare for any single situation and snuff it out completely. Now, how does Diavolo fight against Dio? I'm just gonna be flat out honest. Dio gets decimated. This is all due to the fact that whatever Dio does will be erased, which makes it so that Dio will never do anything. If Dio tries to use the world by looking into the future and then erasing the time in which Dio uses the world, Diavolo will completely stop Dio from doing anything or even having the chance to fight him in the first place. Whatever Dio does will never have the chance to happen because Diavolo will just erase it. Now, how does Diavolo damage Dio? Well, Diavolo just needs to smash Dio's head in. Honestly, Dio will get destroyed if he gets hit in the head. In a situation, Polnareff stabbed Dio in the head, and Dio stated that with a little more strength, he could have stirred his rapier around and destroyed Dio's brain. And we've seen Diavolo completely split Polnareff's head in two by just shoving his fingers into Polnareff's eye socket, or even casually punch a hole through someone's stomach or karate chopping them in half. So it's safe to say that Diavolo has enough strength to destroy Dio's brain easily. And with enough damage to the head, Dio will not be able to even function his body. Like before, when taking enough damage to the head, he was no longer able to move his legs. And even then, Jotaro states, by smashing Dio's head and destroying his brains, unless that happens, Dio will never die. And so, if Diavolo gets one clean hit in on Dio's head, he wins. And even then, due to looking in the future and erasing time, whatever Dio does will be meaningless. So Diavolo honestly just decimates no matter how you look at it, because Dio will never have the chance, because King Crimson will just simply erase anything he does. And yes, King Crimson is this broken. You literally just can't do anything to fight Diavolo. Dio is inevitably taking the L this time around. All because Diavolo is fucking broken, and the only stand that can truly fight King Crimson back is Gold Experience Requiem, because that is in a whole nother league of broken, but we're not gonna get into that. Anyway, Diavolo wins!